This lady takes the cake. Guys, she may be the winner of winners here. She's running to be mayor of Miami. Who do you think lives in Miami? Just out of curiosity. What's a big segment of their population?
Cuban, Latino.
Let's hear her. She's good times. Her name's Laura Anderson. She's very white.
You said something that really caught my attention. You said, so you're not a Republican, you're not a Democrat, so what party do you belong to?
I'm in the Socialist Workers Party. And I was won over to joining the Socialist Workers Party in the mid-90s, realizing this is the most working people having their own party, starting with the world perspective. Organizing all workers was the most effective way to advance working people's interests, to push back attacks on our cost of living, our unsafe conditions on the job, and to fight for things we need, drawing on history, revolutions, the civil rights movement.
Okay. So there's that, right? Okay, that all sounds good. You know, the usual kind of things. Well, we're drawing on this, that, and the other revolution. So want to go over this again. She is a woman, an American woman, crackery, very see-through almost. She could haunt a room is what I'm saying. She is running to be mayor of a city or an area, Miami-Dade, that has known to have had several residents come from a land called Cuba. Just want everybody to get that.
So when we were doing our research, looking you up for this interview, voters will be doing the same when they're going to the polls, looking for their next Miami mayor. They want to find out information about you, right? There was not a whole lot of information we could find on you, campaign websites. And we did find, Ballotpedia, you did answer some questions. One question in particular stood out to us. It was, who do you look up to and whose examples and why? And there was one person that you wrote, you mentioned Fidel Castro. Mm-hmm. Can you explain?
Sure. I went to Cuba more than 3 times.
Well, she went to Cuba 3 times. You get it, right? You've been to Cuba 3 times. You got it down. You've been to Cuba 3 times, ma'am? You've been there 3 times? Holy moly. How amazing is that?
Last time was in 2018 after Hurricane Maria. And I saw how workers are already living in the neighborhoods, for example, before the electricity went off. And they had the electricity up, even with a 6-year blockade. The revolution and the people who were changed from it were organizing to meet the needs of the people.
Okay. But you said Fidel Castro.
The guy that all those Cubans wanted to escape from.
Yeah, the guy who, by the way, those people right there, some of them, grandma and grandpa, they spent years in prison. They've been beaten. They were tortured. They got in a refrigerator with a motor and slowly motored away along with a whole bunch of you go back to the Havana, the boat lift or whatever, and they all left there and floated. And you're like, you know what? That guy who's running that country, that guy's got it going on.
Yeah, Lenin,
so what do you say to the Cubans who live in Miami that cannot even stand to hear his name, that have lived through that?
I don't argue with people who aren't open to a discussion of how can we draw lessons from the Cuban Revolution.
Don't do it. That'd be lesson number 1. What do you think we should do? Not this.
If you want to have a discussion on that, then we'll have a discussion on that. How can we draw lessons from the Cuban Revolution that's in the interest of the working people here today? And I've stood next to people in the street here who don't support the Cuban Revolution, but they're against the economic blockade. There's coalitions in Miami that have mobilized around ending the blockade, and that is very important. We're for end the economic blockade. I'm against U.S. rearming in Puerto Rico, bombing ships in Venezuela. I'm for defending Israel's right to defend itself and defeating Hamas completely.
And again, this is Miami. I just want to go over this again. You're running in Miami. Very, very much an area where I've heard there's some Cubans. If you've ever been to Miami, it's Little Havana. It's Cuba. It is. It's just everywhere. Venezuelans and Cubans everywhere. So that lady's asking the questions. Then the brother is asking the questions. He's like, you're kidding, right?
But those are national issues. But I can tell you, in a community that is made up mostly of Cuban Americans who had to flee Castro's regime, that's probably not a good way to win over their vote. Would you not argue
Well, I
for
would
the
tell
city
you
of
this.
Miami?
This is what I get that question, not like that, but similar, like you're a socialist. You know, how is that?
Correct.
How are people going to respond? Most working people, not just here in Miami, in the United States, they want to talk about the unemployment, the cost of living. Their son committed suicide. Their neighbor lost their home.
Correct.
Their coworkers are disappearing on the job.
Okay.
Okay. Most, huge percent don't vote anymore, and they're sick of lesser evil politics. So they're not, and the doors aren't, people, maybe someone who, like you said, thinks the way, is vehemently against Fidel and doesn't want to have a discussion, you know, okay, that's fine.
I don't think it's up for discussion, Ms. Anderson, in Miami or in Miami-Dade County. There is no doubt that for some that could be political suicide to talk about Castro and to say that he's your hero.
Oh, well, I disagree.
And that's why she won't win.